Good morning. I wanted to give you guys a rundown on how to make a table. Um, so we're going to start with this first experiment that you're doing with the dissolving the salt. So we're going to make a table for that. So first thing you need to do is click on this little button up here. It's got the different apps that you guys have in your Office 365. We're going to use Excel. Okay, Excel is that sort of classic spreadsheet program. You guys are going to need to be able to use the spreadsheet in various ways over the course of this class and your high school science career. So it's really good to start using it now. So we're going to just go over it real quick. Click on New Blank Workbook. And this is what's going to pop up. All right, so this is a really simple experiment, right? First thing I always do is I put a title for the table. Titles are crucial. It tells the person that is reading your lab report exactly what the data refers to. You need this. If you don't have this, it's going to mark you down on your lab report. Okay, I always like to leave one row for my labels, and then I put the x variable is going to be here, right? The x-axis or the independent variable. Okay, the independent variable in this case is just the different students that are performing the different experiments, right? So I'm just going to write down 4 students. Okay, so Xavier, Tynan, Colin, and Harlan are doing this experiment together as a group. Okay, the first column, I'm going to put their before data. Okay, notice I put this little g here, right? This is the units for my measurement. Okay, this is we're going to get the mass of the samples before. Okay, and then we're going to get the mass after. Now, I always put the units, which is in grams in this case, right? Grams is the units for mass. I put it in the label because if you put it in the label, that means you don't have to put it in the each individual cell within your table, and that makes it easier to do the calculations after, okay? Mass before, mass after. What do you think needs to go into this third column here? We actually want the mass difference. So I'm going to put that here in the table. Okay, now one thing I always like to add is the average, right? Taking an average gives you an overall more accurate result. So I'll put an average down here, and then I'll make that bold. And so what we're going to do is we're going to be able to get that average out from your each of your differences. I'm going to show you how to take that average. Let me put some sort of practice data in here so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is my my sort of sample data. Now, Excel is really cool because it'll actually do your calculations for you. Maybe you guys didn't know this, but you don't actually have to break out your calculator when you're using Excel. It's going to do everything for you. So let's say I want to take the mass difference, right? Which is, it's the mass after minus the mass before, okay? So if I put an equal sign here, and then I click on the mass after, which is in cell C3, and then I subtract from cell C3 whatever's in cell B3, okay? Now we're putting in an equation. If I hit the enter, guess what? It calculates that difference. The difference between 11.15 and 11.12 is 0.03. Now the coolest part about Excel is that all I have to do is click on this little dot right here on the corner. You see this little dot? And I drag it down over the next 3 cells, and it'll automatically calculate those differences for me. So it did all the math for me. I didn't even have to break out my calculator. Okay, one thing I always like to do is make sure we are dealing with the right number of significant figures, and the right number of decimal places is 2 decimal places. So I'm going to take my all my numbers out to 2 decimal places. It's always important that you're consistent with your decimal places. Okay, so do you notice how all these numbers are to 2 decimal places? Now, check this out. Microsoft Excel will actually take the average for you. You don't have to do all that calculating, right? You remember how to take the average. Take the 4 numbers, add them together, and then divide by the number of numbers there are. So there's 4. So if I add all these numbers up and I divide by 4, I'm going to get the average. Excel will do that for you. All you have to do is click the equal sign, and then AV, and then you can click on average here. Okay. And then I'm just going to drag over the numbers I want to average. So these 4 cells. Hit enter. Boom. My average is negative 0.25. Okay. Negative 0.25 what? Well, grams. So the average value for this group of fictitious students is negative 0.25 grams. Now, one thing I also like to do is kind of make it look a little bit prettier. So sometimes I'll kind of take the average and I'll make that bold just so it sticks out a little bit better. And then maybe I will take my first 2 rows and make that bold. And then if you drag over the entire table and you click cell styles, you can kind of give it a cool style, whatever you want. I might just click this first one here, calculation. Boom. Now I got a cool looking table. So if I take my program that I can take a screenshot, okay, on a Mac it's the Shift Command 4. On your Surface it's going to be going to that, I think it's called Microsoft Snip program or Clip program. You can take a little screenshot, and I'll just take a screenshot of my table here. Okay, so I did that, and then I can go to whatever document I want, and I can just drop it into the document.